I think the fans, they felt something yesterday. They got a taste of what it was like under Sir Alex Ferguson. I think he's devastated that he didn't announce he was leaving 2 weeks ago, and then he possibly might have had the chance to get the Manchester United job.
There's only one man that the fans, I think, would give time, and that's Pochettino.
Well, I'm guessing the mood and the vibe of this show is going to be a little bit better this week. Wayne, you can go first. Enjoy the Manchester derby?
Yeah, it was... I think it's the best performance I've seen in a long time from Manchester United, and I think what Michael done with the team, it wasn't rocket science. It was a simple tweak in terms of what he done in terms of formation. I think everyone's been talking a lot about Ruben Amorim's formation in the back three and how it weren't suited to Man United as well, and so he changed that. But if you go back to the last podcast we done, when I spoke about what United need to do, it's simple really, is run and work hard. And it was so refreshing to see the players do that. I thought Ahmed and Dorgu on the wings were excellent. The work rate they put in to help the fullbacks out, and they got into a compact shape, which I spoke about, and hit Man City on the break. And the difference in energy, you can feel it from the fans as well, the difference in energy from the team, the confidence, the belief, the composure on the ball at the right times was night and day from what we've been seeing. So it was such a good day. And it reminded me, when we talk about Man United's DNA, that was it yesterday. There, work hard, run for your teammate, get back into a shape, be hard to play against. When you get an opportunity to run forward in straight lines, sprint. I think it's the first time I've seen some players sprint.
Yeah, it was insane, wasn't it? It was just like, yeah, it was the best performance I've seen in years. I mean, I know we've had like results against big sides in the last 18 months or so, but I think to actually truly dominate a big side, I haven't seen that happen in years, especially with this current set of players. But it was just amazing. A one-touch football. There was a switch from Dorgu at one point, the feint from Mainu when he sent Semenyo to the shops, and I thought that was a bit unfair. Semenyo's just moved to Manchester. He's got no idea where the shops are, and he sent him to the shops there. And it was just amazing to see. I saw people online having a go at Michael Carrick for bringing back rondos in training, but like you saw the effects of it on the field.
We done rondos every day. That was the first thing we done. You do your activation inside, and you go out and you do a rondo for 10-15 minutes. And when Van Gaal come in, he banned it, didn't let us do it, and the players went mad. And it's not a major thing, but it's something which the players enjoy. It gets you going. It switches your brain on as well. But yeah, no, I think just the simplicity of how Man United played is so effective, and the first goal especially, and the disallowed goal, the Mount goal at the end, you know, that if you go back 15 years, that could have been myself, Ronaldo, Park Ji-sung, Giggs, all running forwards. So that was the perfect performance, I think, yesterday. And Man City had like 70% possession, but it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like they've had that much possession in previous years, and you know, you feel there's no way of United getting out of this. They're going to cave into the pressure. United look comfortable. They look comfortable defending the box. When it went wide, they were forcing it back inside to where the bodies were. I thought Casemiro and Mainu were... I've been critical of Mainu for when he's come on in recent games. I thought he was outstanding. And just the experience of the backline. I thought Dalot, he should have been sent off. I think it should have been a red card, so he got a bit lucky there. But beyond that, I thought he was excellent against a tricky winger. Not to get that second yellow, I thought he played really well. And the two centre-backs, the experience, they got the cover in front of them, which I think they need to get players in front of them working to help them as well. So I don't think I can fault one player from that game yesterday, and it was refreshing to see.
It was brilliant to see, I think, as well, the way the players felt like they actually believed in everything that was going on around them. And it was like, it was what you said in the last podcast, to just keep things simple and stuff as well. It was like playing players in the positions they actually want to be in. I mean, like, who'd have thought that would create happiness? Do you know what I mean? It was like you had Manu and Casemiro, which Amorim led us to believe who couldn't play together, and you had Bruno Fernandes in the 10, and we saw how effective he can be when he's playing in that position. It's like, why you would put somebody like Bruno getting the ball from the back three, I will never know, because you saw what he can do from that position and how effective he can be.
I think it was a massive game for Mike. There was a lot of talk as well of, is he the right person to go in at this period of time? I think we've seen that from a lot of people. And I had no doubt over him, and I hope he continues this now from the end of the season, because if he does, you never know what can happen from there.
This looks like a completely different team, and they've only had about 3 days worth of training. And I think they asked Lisandro Martinez what they've been doing, and he said, we've been playing with the ball in training, and that's really helped. And you saw even like the togetherness, that idea of, you were saying, the players working for each other. You saw Casemiro jumping on Michael Carrick's back to celebrate a goal, which I don't think we saw any of players doing that under the previous manager. So it begs the question, what's been going on in those 3 days? What can you get done in those 3 days, Wayne?
Well, you demand it. you demand it. And why I felt it was really important to have people who know the club in there at this period of time is Michael Carrick walks into that dressing room and he commands respect, regardless of what player he's talking to. Michael Carrick's been there. He's done it at Manchester United. He's an example to them players, and he will command respect the minute he walks in that dressing room. So the players will listen to him. He's been there. He's won 5 Premier League titles, Champions League, FA Cup, Club World Cup, Europa League. He won everything. There's only 2 players who've done that. I'm the other one. But
Funny you mentioned that.
No, but so he'll command respect from them players, and you can see that straight away. And so when Michael Carrick said, and I've said this before, he might seem quite quiet as a person, but he's got a ruthless streak. So when he's telling you, when you run forward, you better run back, otherwise you're not going to be on that pitch. I'll take you off. And that's as simple as it can be. And he made big calls. He obviously let Sesko out, left Cunha out of the team. I thought Cunha come on and was brilliant. We've seen him blocking a shot on the edge of the box, then running forward. Thought his attitude when he come on was excellent. So it's doing the basics right, and making sure you do the basics gives you the foundation to go and win football games. And that's all he done yesterday. So it wasn't rocket science what he done or what he changed, but the players listened to him. And you could see, I'm not saying they didn't respect Ruben Amorim, but you could see there was a freedom about him yesterday, which I haven't seen in a long time.
Have you spoken to him at all, Wayne, since? Sent him a text?
Only
or
on text. I haven't.
What did you say?
I'll keep that private. But
I imagine you said you were pretty happy, and he was pretty happy.
Yeah, no, obviously he's delighted. Of course he is, and I don't think he will have went to sleep the night before on Friday night, even dreaming of how well the game would have went. I think, I said yesterday on Match of the Day, I said, we've seen Man United win big games in recent times, but I don't think we've seen them win big games and perform as well as they have. And when Man United scored the first goal, I was in the studio, I was with Al Shearer, and I jumped up, I said, that is Manchester United, that is old school Manchester United. And that's what it felt like. So for him to bring that back in so quickly, I don't think any of us would have imagined it would have been that good so quickly. But now the players have shown he can do it, and I'm sure he'll be right on them, sticking on them to make sure they do that again. Difficult game next week against Arsenal on Sunday, but they've showed the signs that they can go and be a good team.
Isn't it amazing how one win will just change your whole mentality?
No, but I think the change happens at the right time. I think Ruben Amorim, he was probably watching that game sat behind the couch thinking, what is going on? Because he couldn't get that out of them. So I think when you see that change in the mentality, fresh faces, I think it's good. Steve Holland coming in, I said on the last pod, it was a really good signing to bring in with him. So having fresh faces, fresh ideas, and a new manager coming in can change give players new energy anyway. But I think especially Michael Carrick going in will certainly lift the whole place.
The one thing I would say as a neutral, and I know, Wayne, you've said on this podcast before, we just have to enjoy it when it's going well. We have seen United put in big performances before. You've both said that you think this is the best probably in recent years, but how can this be different? The big challenge now, isn't it, is to build on it, because we've kind of been here before.
Yeah, it feels different. I think the performance was different. I haven't seen Man United, and this is me having a go at the players over recent years. I haven't seen players run and work that hard in a long time.
But they can do that for one-off games, can't they? It's a case of having to do it every week.
Yeah, but not like that. Not together for that. My worry yesterday was after the first half. My worry was, can they keep this up for 90 minutes? And which they did. So I think there's a big respect towards the manager there, and the confidence that the players have been shattered. The confidence has been on the floor for the last 3 years. I don't think there's any denying that. So it's hard to play when your confidence is low. So the confidence that will give them players is huge. So I think, listen, they could go and lose the game on Sunday, but I don't think that'll be an issue if they continue to perform and to work together and be resilient and be hard to play against. I think fans will accept that. Fans aren't stupid. They'll accept losing a game if the players are working hard and running. So that's all you want to see. And if you get good players doing that, more often than not, you'll win games. I
think you're absolutely right. I think we haven't seen Man United dominate a game like that for ages, and that could have been 5-0. That could have been 5-0, and it was like it was complete domination on every sort of metric that you could measure. I think if Manchester United play like that till the end of the season, every United fan will be happy. And I think it's credit to Michael Carrick and his coaching staff that they were able to get that out. And the challenge now is to replicate that for every game to the end of the season. And do you know what? If we keep playing like that and we get top four, I think put the contract down.
Did you see this? Like, I went at the stadium. I was in the BBC studios, but did you see the difference in the stadium? Even when he walked out before the game, and he's trying to pump the crowd up. I think the fans, they felt something yesterday. They got a taste of what it was like under Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
There's some of them young fans who have been through a terrible time over the last 10, 13 years, really, since Fergie left. They haven't witnessed a team perform that well. And I've been part of some of them teams as well. I've played in some of them teams. They haven't witnessed a team perform that well with that energy and that belief and that fight and being brave with the ball, but also be resilient and tough to play against. Them fans felt that yesterday, and hopefully that's a glimpse of what we've got coming in the next 16 games.
I think what you said, Wayne, was about the players respecting a manager. It made me think of something. I think with teams like Man United and Real Madrid, like big institutions like that, and Liverpool, those teams, I think it's so important for the manager to be respected by the players. We saw it with Real Madrid recently, that if you can't garner the respect of the players in that dressing room, because there's a lot of big egos, if you've got someone in there that's like, listen, I've won everything that you want to win, like, this is what I'm telling you need to do, I think you're right. They do respond a lot better to that.
Yeah, I think... And in fairness, United have tried everything. They've tried Van Gaal, David Moyes, who's tried and tested in the Premier League, Mourinho, younger ones in Ten Hag and Amarin. But for them young foreign coaches who've come in, and they might, I'm not saying, no doubt they're fantastic coaches and they'll go on and have great careers in the managerial roles, but to come into Manchester United, I think it's different. It's different to any other club, and there probably is only Real Madrid, and I wouldn't even put Liverpool in there. There's Real Madrid and Man United. I think the two biggest clubs in the world, and so they're different. So for young foreign coaches to come in and who don't know the club, and this is why you hear so many ex-players talking about the DNA of the football club, and Man United is different. I heard Guy Neville talking about it, and he's right in certain ways. Is Man United can't, sit back and have three at the back and be a possession-based team. That's not what Man United is. Man United is energy and being brave and fight and running and getting crosses in the box and being entertaining. That's what Manchester United is, and I think it's hard to go with a new route over the last. So I hope the powers above see that now, and I know we'll touch on Glasner in a minute, but I think someone like Glasner coming in, it's the same as Amran, it's the same as Ten Hag. They'll bring their ways in a foreign way of which they've learned when they were going through their coaching badges and stuff about playing careers. Man United needs Man United people in there, 100%, and I think and I hope this is a start, because it was certainly a better start than I think any of us could have imagined.
We should also address Man City and their performance yesterday. Did it surprise you, Wayne?
I thought they were flat. I thought they looked a little bit tired. And it's probably the first time I've seen Pep sit down. I think the first time I've probably seen Pep not believe they were going to get out the game when Man United were 2-0 up, and that's the reason I think he took Haaland off, because they've got a Champions League game coming up, and I think he resigned himself to there's no way they're getting anything out this game, and hence the changes he made. So, and that's a massive credit to Michael Carrick in how United played and how he set them up. So yeah, I thought they looked a little bit tired yesterday, but they've got fresh players in there. Mark Gay, I'm sure, will come in and help them. But I think yesterday was about Manchester United. I think you can't get away from that.
Just a word on Manchester United's next fixture as well, Wayne, because of course it's Arsenal, but they've got the whole clear week going into that. And actually, do you think it's good to have another huge game, another big team for them to play against?
Well, I think what we used to, and obviously Michael was part of that, we used to love playing against Arsenal because Arsenal would take the ball, and the performance you seen yesterday was almost a mirror image of how we would play against Arsenal when we were playing. So I think for Michael, it's his game plan is simple, exactly the same way he's just done against Man City. Is he'll have a full week now to work on that and try and go and execute that again against Arsenal. And where if it's a lesser team at Old Trafford, then you're going to have more of the ball. You're going to have to work on different things slightly. Where actually I think this simplifies it for them going into the Arsenal game. Tactically, it's the exact same game plan.
Wayne, you've already mentioned his name on this podcast. The other big story of the weekend, of course, came courtesy of Oliver Glasner. He has been linked with the Manchester United job, and on Friday he announced he's leaving Crystal Palace at the end of this season in quite spectacular fashion. When he was asked about Mark Gahey leaving, he said, yep, he's leaving, bombshell number one. And then he was asked if Gahey leaving would affect his future. Bombshell number two was the fact that he then said, no, my future's been decided, told Steve Parish I'm off in October. And then after the defeat at Sunderland, well, his post-match press conference was arguably even more extraordinary. He said, I feel we're being abandoned completely. I can't blame any player. They did everything they could, and this has been going on for weeks and months now. We have 12, 13 players from the squad available, and we feel no support. Wayne, what's your immediate reaction when you watched that game, of course, in the Match of the Day studio? When you hear a manager saying like that, something like that, we've seen it a few times this season. What do you think he's trying to say?
Yeah, I don't see how he continues. I think Palace might have put a statement out saying he's staying till the end of the season, but I don't see how that continues after them words he spoke after the game yesterday. And for me, it's a bit of both, really. I think I do feel for him because I was at the semi-final and the final last season, and the atmosphere, how the feeling around Crystal Palace was incredible. And obviously they lost Eze in the summer. Mark Gay stayed, and I think everyone knew that he was probably going to leave in January. But then Glasner, when he came out and said he's agreed to leave in October. So I'd like to know, did Brennan Johnson get told he was leaving when he signed for Crystal Palace? Did his agent get told? Because that changes things for that player. So that's one question. But also to come out and say they've been abandoned, and he said he had to tell the players that the captain was leaving 10:30 the day before a game, but he'll do everything to support the players. But then he comes out and tells the players he's leaving. I think it's all strange, and I think he's angling to try and get himself out of the club and try and get paid up. If he feels that badly and feels that let down and feels that the club have abandoned him and his players, then walk. Why don't you walk away from it? I'm not saying he's staying because he wants the money, but if you feel that badly, he knows that place is going to be toxic. There's no way. And maybe Palace are telling him he's staying to try and flush him out and try and double bluff his call, because he's doing everything he can to get out to that football club as soon as possible and get paid up.
I think he's in a hard situation though as well. I mean, I
feel for him, but I think it annoys me. Players get a load of stick. He's there, hammering the board, or players get stick for wanting to leave, and when managers do it, I know he's being treated bad and the success he's brought to that football club, but when a manager does it, but then he says, I'm going to stay till the end of the season, but the board, we've been abandoned and this is a disgrace and all this talk, then walk then.
Yeah, I think he's probably quite emotional though, isn't he? Like, I mean, you've probably given a club the best years of its existence, a trophy, a community shield.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, I completely get that and feel that. But then if he feels that strongly about what's going on, yeah, then leave him.
No manager resigns anymore, Wayne, though.
I think what's happened is I think he's devastated that he didn't announce he was leaving 2 weeks ago. And then he possibly might have had the chance to get the Manchester United job.
Do you think that's what he's angling for?
No, I think he's gutted, because if he would have come out and said he was leaving at the end of the season 2 weeks ago, maybe Manchester United might have went to him and spoke to him. So he's missed that job. He's missed that opportunity. So I think he's fuming with that. And the Madrid job might be open now. And so he's thinking, I can't afford to let any more opportunities slip. So I'm coming out and telling everyone I'm leaving at the end of the season. I think that's what has happened.
We've seen this from so many managers this season, though, right?
He's the fourth manager, right? That's a fifth of the Premier League managers that have done that.
Yeah.
Or not have done that. It's all been slightly different, hasn't it? But if you think of, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's such a good point. We've seen it with Nuno towards the start of the season, kind of speaking about things that were happening above him and transfer activity and that. We then saw Maresca and we've seen Amorim. And now we've seen Glasner, and I mean, the three previous have only ended one way, Kay, which is probably what you were about to say.
Yeah. I feel like that managers, once they realise they want out, they're like, well, this is what I'm going to do, because nobody resigns anymore. You never see a statement going, so-and-so's resigned from his role. I think it's like Wayne said, they want to get paid up and leave. But I think if you've got 6 months left and you want to leave that strongly, you might as well leave that 6 months.
It has to come to... There has to be an agreement. If Palace aren't going to sack him and he's not going to walk, there has to be an agreement between the two of them, because for that fan base, which I respect Palace fans a lot, for that fan base to have your owners and your manager coming out talking about the owners in that way, knowing that in 6 months' time he's going to be out there anyway, and then you've got the players who are left behind who are trying, they won't know what day it is with what's happening. There's no way he can be at that football club till the end of the season.
You're saying he has to go?
One way or another, whether Palace pay him up or he resigns or they come to an agreement and meet in the middle, there's no way he can be at that football club till the end of the season.
It's demoralising being a Palace fan as well. You lose Eze, you lose Mark Gahey, and now you're losing your manager.
They're still in Europe. They're still challenging in Europe as well.
He did say on Friday, didn't he? I know that was kind of pre this outburst, but he did say on Friday that he was committed to trying to win another trophy and to try and give the Palace fans like the best ever season in their history. So
yeah, but then what he said on Saturday is he's told 12 or 13 players that you 12 or 13 players are the only ones who are good enough to play for this football club. The rest. So imagine the other players, the other 7 or 8 players who don't think they're in that 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And he said, I've only got 12 or 13 players. So what about all the players who sat on the bench and the players who... I don't think he's given them a lot of confidence when they are still in Europe and they're safe in the Premier League. But from my experience as a player and seeing different things happen with managers or with players, there's no way that can continue the way it is.
Do you think it's slightly strange, Wayne? He said, obviously, that it was decided and he told Steve Parish in October. Then he basically, it feels a bit like when he heard the Gahey news on Friday, he told the players and then he told the press. Is there ever a right time? Would you, as a player, do you think that news should be out as soon as he's made the decision for clarity for everyone? Because he said he's given that he feels like now is the time for clarity, but the last few months there's been speculation.
I don't think there's unless you're like Sir Alex Ferguson, which Ferguson come out, might be in a similar time, January or February, and told us he was leaving, but he's earned that right. That he's not leaving in a bad way, where this is in a bad situation. You know, he told everyone he earned that right to have that, you know, last few months of accolades and etc. from everyone. But this is completely different. I think what's happened is, I think he's met in the October international break with Steve Parish and said, what's the plans with Mark Gay in January? And he's probably been told that if we get the right amount of money, we have to sell him, because otherwise he walks on a free in the summer. And he's probably said, well, if he goes, then I'm leaving. I'm leaving the football club. And I think that's probably where it started, and that's obviously come to a head now. And there's no good going to come from him staying at that club now. And I respect him. I think what he's done at Palace is incredible. But it's only going to end badly from this point, I think.
Okay, well, we've had plenty of manager chat so far on the pod, and let's continue that, because at the time of recording, a report suggests that Thomas Frank's position at Tottenham is in doubt. BBC Sport does understand that at least one member of the club's executive team has raised the option of sacking him recently. Of course, Spurs are beaten 2-1 by West Ham. Big rivals, another home defeat, and there were chants of sacked in the morning from Spurs fans. Captain Christian Romero did call the result a disaster. So let's bring in, I've just seen his face for the first time, Tottenham fan and comedian Josh James. Josh, I felt really sorry for you when your face popped up then. Not feeling great this morning, I imagine.
Yeah, but it's just Spurs, isn't it? It's like, when you're a Tottenham fan, you're well used to these, you know, it's no surprise. I fancied it. Just West Ham beating us yesterday was it was written really all week. You could just feel it. You know, we've been going one way at the moment. West Ham always, well, not always, but majority of the time they get right up for the Tottenham game. And that last minute goal, it was, I can't remember what game it was, but years ago I went to watch Spurs versus West Ham, and Anton Ferdinand scored a last minute goal, and it was like exactly the same. I think it was like from a corner. And yeah, it's not a surprise to me, in all honesty. You know, just typical Tottenham, really.
Do you know what the worrying thing for me was? Not the last minute goal, because that can happen off a corner, you can concede off. It was just the overall game, and I watched the Villa game, in the first half of the Villa game. I couldn't believe how there was no fight, there was no energy, there was nothing about Tottenham, and it was the same yesterday. Against West Ham, and I think we all know what a big game that is for both clubs. There was nothing about Tottenham at all, and I felt for Conor Gallagher because I was trying to put myself in his head, and I was thinking he was just running around and looked like he'd never been on a football pitch before, and I was thinking he's probably thinking, what have I come into?
Yeah, he's turned up and he's thought, why on earth have I come here? I think poor old Thomas Frank, he seems like a lovely bloke, doesn't he? And it's not all his fault, in all honesty. But I think he's lost them players a while ago. I don't know if you remember, there was a game where Jed Spence and Van der Ven come off, and they just like very publicly just, you know, shunned him, basically, just, you know what I mean, had him away. So I think he's cliche, but I think he's lost the dressing room a long time ago. And I don't think, I mean, I went to the Sunderland game, and one thing I said to my mate, I'm like, they all just look so, I mean, this is me saying this is a Sunday League footballer, right? But they all just look so bang average. Like, There's just nothing. There's not one player there that gets you excited. You know, as bad as Tottenham have been in previous years, you always know we've got one or two players that you like going to watch. You know, whether it be like a David Ginola or a Berbatov, or you know, even maybe going as far back as like a Jurgen Klinsmann. We ain't got none of them now. We ain't got none of like not one attacking player that gets you a bit excited. You know, but yeah, the fight has well gone out of players.
Who would you get in if it's not Thomas Frank?
Amarin.
Yeah. Well, I think you get an interim coach until the end of the year. There's only one man the fans I think will give time, and that is probably at the same sort of level of us at the moment, and that's Pochettino. You know, after the World Cup, you know, could well become available. He's the only obvious one. You've got Glasner there, who potentially might be leaving Palace, but again, I think that if the Man United job's coming up, I think Man United is a bigger job for him to take. I think he'd probably rather take that. And then there's maybe one other I thought is maybe Robbie Keane, you know, because he was loved by Spurs fans. He's an ex-Spurs player. But again, he'll probably go Celtic, I'd imagine.
I think the Celtic job for Robbie is... I thought they should have took Robbie in previously, but so I don't know why they haven't taken him in. But yeah, I think I felt for Thomas Frank yesterday. I was watching it on Match of the Day, and at the end of the game, and I said it yesterday on the show, I've been there. I've stood on that pitch as a manager when you know you're going to get sacked, and I could see it in him. So he knows it's coming, and I could see it in him. I felt so sorry for him because I was there at Ellen Road, and I was getting booed by, obviously getting absolutely battered by the Leeds fans, but then the Birmingham fans joined it as well. So
Leeds as well.
I had the whole stadium going for me. But yeah, I fell for Thomas Frank yesterday. I don't know if he's lost the players, but they're certainly not performing for him, and I think he's definitely lost the fans. You've heard that the last few games, so I think again, unfortunately, it looks like he will lose his job.
I don't necessarily think it might be all on Thomas Frank's shoulders. I think when you look at a lot of these clubs, you know, the clubs that they've let, like Thomas Frank left Brentford, and Brentford haven't really missed him, to be honest with you. And I think it makes you ask the question, how well run are these clubs? I think certain clubs are run really well from top to bottom. And you can see that it makes it easy for managers to come in and slot in and do what they need to do. But I think other clubs aren't perhaps as well run. I don't know. I mean, Tottenham have got the stadium, they've got the training ground. But again, there's some parallels with Man United, where whatever manager they've gone for, they've done Conte, they've done Mourinho, they've had Pochettino, but they've not been able to quite go and push on from there. I think like that when they had Pochettino last time, the lack of investment in the squad meant that they weren't able to push on. And it does beg the question, like, how well run is the club? Are they there to try and make a profit?
You say that about lack of investments. I mean, since Poch left in 2019, I think we've actually spent more on players than Arsenal have.
No, but I mean, you didn't invest when Poch was there. Poch was crying out for, I think, two or three more signings.
No, exactly, and that's why I think Poch has got to come back, really, because he never got backed. He was just pulling rabbits out of hats. I mean, I remember the season he got to the Champions League final. In that previous summer transfer window, we didn't sign one player. And I'm like, I remember we got to the Champions League final, and I'm like, well, I know we ain't got we had a good like 1 to 11, but the squad, it just weren't there. So I just knew we weren't going to beat Liverpool, you know. So I think you need to get Poch back and back in properly. I think we're getting interim managers towards the end of the season. There's actually a guy that's available at the moment. I think it deserves one. Maybe jump back on the rodeo. I don't know if Wayne Rooney fancies it, but maybe get back in there. Get Phil Barnes in as the assistant, and
my phone's on, so it's ready.
Just a bit of a fight back, you know.
No, but I think with Tottenham, not to Man United, like the extent of Man United, but Tottenham, I've got an identity of. So when Mourinho goes into Tottenham or Conte goes into Tottenham, I don't see that as a Tottenham team. And I think the fans see that as well. I think Tottenham have always been an exciting team and exciting players. Arsenal more of a possession-based team. Man United more of a ruthless and entertaining. So I think that it has to be a certain manager, similar to United. I think it has to be someone who knows the club at Tottenham and has got connection and ties to the football club, because when you try and do something different, unless you're successful at that, the fans don't give you the time or the patience to be able to do that.
Why do you think the Tottenham manager's job feels such a kind of tough thing? Does it just come down to the lack of investment? Even if you go further back, Josh, you look at like the only managers really that have kind of had success or come out of it with their reputations enhanced are probably the likes of Redknapp or Pochettino.
I think one is the expectation of the fans. I mean, we think we should be right up there, and
what are the expectations then?
Well, the biggest expectations, and actually, I think for most Spurs fans, is like Wayne said, you want to see him playing attacking football. You want to see him have a go. The trouble is, we got Ange who done that. He done that to probably too much. Well, he did do that to too much of an extreme level. It's great when he first come, and you're like, oh, great, we're playing really good. People figured us out, and then we're getting done like 3 and 4-0. So, listen, it's a tough one. Funnily enough, you mentioned Harry Redknapp. I thought, God, maybe he could come back as interim manager, because I think fans would actually get behind him. I mean, one thing is for sure: when Mourinho and Conte were there, as great bigger names as they were, I mean, even Conte, like, fans had just had enough of him because of the way that he played football. I don't know what it is about Spurs fans, maybe like delusions of grandeur, but we don't just expect to sort of be winning games. We actually want to win in the right way, and Thomas Frank for me was never it. I didn't think it would work when he first appointed him, and lo and behold. But the next appointment is important, and it's not all just the manager. Obviously, players have got to take responsibility, but it largely comes down to the board as well. They have made wrong decision after wrong decision, and they got to look at themselves and think, right, well, if we don't know where we've gone wrong, then you got to think about offloading the club, to be honest, because you can't just keep them going around in this merry-go-round, of managers.
You're still in the Champions League.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, we ain't winning Champions League, are we? Never. Come on.
I didn't suggest that. But progress is good, no?
So we shouldn't even be in. We shouldn't even be in the Champions League. We finished 17th last season. What a farce that competition has become. If you let 17th place Tottenham play in the Champions League this year, it's mad. But we need someone to come in and stable the ship. I think Wayne's right. It's got to be someone that fans have got an affection to, and for me, that's only one man. That's Pochettino.
We'll stay on the call. We'll give you Wayne's number at the end in case you want Wayne Rooney.
I'll come and support Robbie.
That's where we'll leave this episode. Josh, thank you so much for coming on. I always say this, I feel like whenever we get guests on, it's to talk about something quite negative. So I'm really sorry that you've had to come on and talk about a defeat to one of your biggest rivals and the fact that you might change manager. You haven't changed manager yet, though. That's all good. Yeah, no. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. And as long as we stay up, I think that's all we can hope for now. As I said, that's where we'll leave it. Thanks, as always, for watching and listening to the show today. We'll be back on Friday, and a reminder, you can watch The Wayne Rooney Show on the BBC iPlayer or on the BBC Sport YouTube, and you can listen on BBC Sounds.